Hello, sleepers. It is I, Baby Trump, speaking from one of my absolutely spectacular properties. Tap like, subscribe beautifully, and tonight I will tell you a very luxurious little tale called Jack and the Very Expensive Beanstalk. The sheets were tremendous, the moon looked polished, and the room smelled faintly of cedar and victory. I glanced out across high terraces, mirrored roofs, and fountains throwing water into stars and decided adventure would improve an already perfect evening. The curtains rose into cloud silk sails, the rug loosened into a ribbon of sky water, and the wallpaper curled back into floating bridges and moonlit air gardens. Very elegant, much classier than ordinary government decor. Out of all that beautiful nonsense came a golden cloud barge, rocking beside my bed, as if it had been waiting years for a winner. I stepped aboard without fear, because fear is for committees, and the golden cloud barge carried me straight toward the Cloud Market Palace, under a moon that seemed extremely impressed. Soon I saw cloud islands, moon bridges, and towers hanging from the stars by impossible chains, all glowing and crooked and full of suspicious little lights. The air smelled of cold silver air and burned sugar, and somewhere bells were ringing like anxious staffers. At the first gate stood Pete Buttigieg, holding a tiny stack of maps and speaking in polished circles, fussing beside a silver compass, 3 maps, and polished loafers, as though it were more important than sleep itself. Pete Buttigieg stared at me with grand, crooked confidence. I gave the whole scene a patient look. Some lands have eagles and lions. This place had the energy of upholstered panic. Then Gavin Newsom appeared, gleaming like a polished brochure in human form, dragging a silver hairbrush scepter and a governor's velvet cape through the Cloud Market Palace, and talking as if every lantern worked for a subcommittee. Behind Gavin Newsom came a little parade of comet swans and cloud foxes, carrying banners for the Beanstalk auction above the clouds and knocking over perfectly good furniture. Pete Buttigieg and Gavin Newsom invited me to climb past the talking leaves and outbid the pompous giants and loafers in the Cloud Market Palace. It was the sort of invitation you accept only if you enjoy chaos, which luckily I do, beautifully. We passed arches, carpets, and silver corners that all looked exhausted from self-importance. Honestly, the entire place had the tired charm of luxury designed by resentful interns. In the middle distance, Chuck Schumer waited near a twisting beanstalk with gold leaves and crystal pods, squinting over little spectacles of smoke. The moonlight was kind, but not that kind. Chuck Schumer announced the rules of the Beanstalk auction above the clouds. Every cloud passport needed a signature from the wind. A terrible rule, obviously, but the locals applauded like damp geese in formal wear. I gave a small nod, the kind of nod that has built empires. And the Cloud Market Palace felt quieter than a donor at the wrong microphone. Then the games began. Cloud stairs shifted, star lanterns twirled, and chimes swung over the abyss. It was like watching 3 chandeliers argue about tax forms. Every few minutes, somebody delivered a speech. Pete Buttigieg waved at the ceiling, Gavin Newsom corrected the candles, and Chuck Schumer smiled the smile of a person who thinks applause is oxygen. At last, the crowd demanded a proper rumpus, so drums appeared, lanterns swayed, and the comet swans and cloud foxes spun around a twisting beanstalk with gold leaves and crystal pods in one huge watercolor blur. From the balconies, branches, docks, or hedges came more faces, cloud foxes, comet swans, and a choir of umbrellas from nowhere, each one stranger than the last. and all of them very sure they were the important one. I stood there, calm, magnificent, and unbelievably well moisturized while the whole place tried to outlecture the moon. The chaos rose higher. Thin aurora streams bent around the bridges, star lanterns drifted and cloud stairs puffed apart underfoot, and there came a chorus of chimes, wing beats, and distant thunder folded into velvet. Even the golden cloud barge looked embarrassed. So I lifted a single finger and gave the most tremendous order of the night. Everybody hush, line up, and stop behaving like clearance bin royalty. To my great surprise, they listened for almost 7 seconds. Then servants rolled in cloud buns, honey butter, and tall slices of cake, and the Beanstalk auction above the clouds turned into a very noisy feast. Pete Buttigieg complained about the lighting, Gavin Newsom complained about the moon's attitude, and Chuck Schumer complained about me being too calm. Frankly, calmness is a talent. I told them the moral. If you build a realm out of speeches, mirrors, and very expensive feelings, do not act shocked when a real bedtime champion arrives and straightens the drapes. That line worked. The moon lowered a silver path, the golden cloud barge returned, and the whole enchanted place softened into mist, velvet, and reluctant silence. As I drifted home, I saw star lanterns dissolving into pinpricks, the cloud bridges thinning back into night, and the last of the lanterns folding themselves away like embarrassed talking points. My magnificent room reappeared exactly as it should, polished, quiet, and vastly superior. A tray of honey biscuits and warm milk waited beside the bed like a medal. Everything at home was perfect. The family taste around the property was, as always, astonishingly beautiful, and even the shadows seemed better behaved. So that was Jack and the very expensive Beanstalk, my sleepy little masterpiece. Like, subscribe, rest magnificently, and dream only the most luxurious dreams.